On May 4th, 1961, John Lewis and other freedom riders arrived in Rock Hill, South Carolina, on the bus. They were a group of black and white students sitting together. Elwyn Wilson, a member of the Ku Klux Klan, beat Lewis that day fairly severely. When asked if he wanted to press charges, John Lewis said, "No, we've come in love and in peace." That comment stuck with his assailant, but it didn't stop Mr. Wilson from hanging a black doll from a noose in his front yard. Yet, in 2009, after the inauguration of America's first black president, Mr. Wilson apologized to his community for the wrongs he had done. Several weeks later, Lewis welcomed Wilson into his office, and Mr. Wilson apologized personally and directly to the man he had beaten over 50 years earlier. John Lewis listened with love and awe as he forgave his assailant and recognized the power of transformation. John Lewis may have been a saint and a mystic, called by God to a way of peace and justice. I believe John Lewis knew God's love in a very profound and personal way. He knew God's love in a way that sees the sacred and the good in every single person. How else does one hold on to the discipline of loving nonviolence in the face of horrendous hate and abuse? Congressman Lewis chose to fight hatred with love, and he chose not to carry hatred within himself. Lewis spoke of redemptive suffering, suffering that transforms. Think Jesus on the cross seeking forgiveness for those who put him there. By being peaceful, John Lewis and others focused on peace, on justice, and on the humanity of the oppressor. Lewis sought to transform lives by claiming his power and dignity by entering into white waiting rooms without hatred. The reaction to his actions revealed the hate for the world to witness. Jesus, responding to the murder of his cousin John the Baptist by a corrupt king, took time away alone, presumably to pray. Later that day, he healed the sick. And finally, Jesus instructed his disciples to feed the people. And perhaps that's enough. Pray, heal, and eat together. With his loving heart, John Lewis helped to heal Mr. Wilson and to heal the rift between Mr. Wilson and his son. Congressman Lewis took time to eat with young activists and took time to listen to the experiences of those who had wronged him. Lewis was human, and good people disagreed with some of his policies. At his funeral, former President George W. Bush said, Listen, John and I had our disagreements, of course, but in the America John Lewis fought for, and the America I believe in, differences of opinion are inevitable elements and evidence of democracy in action. We, the people, including congressmen and presidents, can have different views on how to perfect our nation, our union, while sharing the conviction that our nation, however flawed, is a good and noble one. We live in a better and nobler country today because of John Lewis and his abiding faith in the power of God, the power of democracy, and in the power of love to lift us all to a higher ground. Some argued then, and continue to argue now, that the way of nonviolence is insufficient to overcoming the power of white supremacy. Lewis stood on the side of love. Not an anything goes love, but a love that is strong enough to reveal and overcome hate. Not only did the Freedom Riders study and learn how to respond without violence, they learned to look their assailants in the eye, seeking their common humanity. Not only did they respond by not hitting back, but they also responded by remaining open-hearted. Remaining open-hearted is a task for our time. Responding with love to hate is a task for this day. Paul wrote to the Corinthians, "Love is patient, love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things." And now, faith, hope, love abide, these three, and the greatest of these is love. May we be people of justice and love. Amen.